I went to Walmart and bought myself a brand new microphone, so hopefully this works. You might hear some buzzing in the background, and if you do, it's just my computer that is it's a fan on this computer that. So if you hear some buzzing in the background, that's what it is. Hopefully we won't have any issues here this afternoon, so we can kind of talk a little bit about what's going on. You know, when I'm having issues with things, it can be a bit of a distraction. So let's get started. I'm trying to give everybody a few minutes to get in here so we can talk a little bit more about the weather. And if you have issues with audio or anything else, please be sure to let me know. I'm watching the monitor though, and the monitor seems to be good. Hopefully the audio is clean here. Like I say, I got myself a new little microphone here, so maybe this will work. You know, in the future, for my for a lot of the things I'm going to do when I actually build my at-home studio, which I've already got a green screen, I've already got things to do it with, but in the future I'm going to have some really cool things. I'm going to set it up like the gamers do, how they stream things. So it'll look really cool in the future, but that's going to take a while to get to that point. All right, so let's talk about the weather. Of course, I'm going to start with winter weather advisories here. And of course, right now we have winter weather advisories that cover a good part of the region at least. And I'm going to show you the areas that it covers, and then we'll even talk a little bit more about what we're seeing as far as down here in good old Texoma here. So let's, without further ado, well, shoot, I don't know where my screen grab is on this thing here. So let me see if it's in here. It may be in this box here. Yeah, there it is. All right, so again, if you hear a little buzzing in the background, the little buzzing is my computer fan that's on. It's not the audio itself, it's my fan. So you'll hear this computer probably needs a new fan. It's in my son's old gaming laptop. I bought it for him for his VR that he used to have with it. Of course, now you don't have to have that anymore. So that's why you might hear a little. We need to go take it to PC Pros in the mall and let them handle it. All right, so if you look here, we do have areas of winter weather advisories out down our way. Let me see if I can get to pull up. There it is. You can see a good part of Oklahoma. The light blue would be winter weather advisories. This different color blue, almost kind of like a greenish blue, would be a winter storm watch that's in effect. And I'll be honest about it, at least for our area, I was a little surprised that our weather service went with a winter storm watch. Usually they go with winter storm watch when it looks like there's going to be some fairly significant winter precipitation in the area. And most of what I've looked at appears to be fairly light. And I'll show you the afternoon stuff on what the weather service is showing. There's a closer view of it there. Let me try to see if I can get this thing to zoom out. Let's see, reset. All right, there we go. All right, so most of what we're seeing here, and just give it a second or two for that to load up. For whatever reason, it's loading pretty slow. You know, and it could be some Wi-Fi issues where I'm at, and back in this little room I'm trying to make into an office. But here we are with winter weather advisory. You can see Lawton's winter weather advisory, Altus winter weather advisory. You jump down to the south, Vernon, Wichita Falls, Archer City, Graham, Henrietta, Waurika, over into Monte County, Bowie, Nocona, Jacksboro, Bridgeport, Decatur, and into the Metroplex. Winter storm watches up for the possibility of a more significant icing type situation. That is from the Weather Service. That is not from me. I do not issue those. That comes directly from them. Let me maneuver this a little bit better here so we can. Remember, if y'all have questions, make sure to ask me. I'll have a time here after we go over the weather data to be able to talk a little bit more and answer your questions about the upcoming. I've had a lot of questions been asked to me, and I'll try to respond to you when I can. But unfortunately, it's always not that easy. I have been trying to work on my streaming platform here over the last couple of days. It's not, of course, as you know, if you're watching me last night, there were some issues with video and audio, but I seem to have them resolved, I think. We'll see. All right, so we're going to look at the HRRR model first, and we're going to go in. Now, the temperatures outside are cold, so I mean we're not worried about preset type. Like last week when we had the snow, we were worried about rain versus snow versus a rain-snow mix. You know, this week it looks like, you know, the air outside plenty cold enough, and when it starts precipitating, it's going to get even colder. So If we look here at the HRRR model, this will be into tomorrow morning. It does show some areas of light precipitation around in the morning. Now, this would be in the form of most likely a light sleet or light freezing drizzle, or maybe even some snow flurries. I don't believe this is going to create huge problems, but with temperatures pretty cold, it doesn't take much. In fact, the HRRR model does try to develop some little sleet showers over us too in the morning. So, you know, it doesn't look like a situation where at least tomorrow morning we're going to get clobbered with heavy precipitation, but it does look like we'll see at least some light stuff around. And it doesn't take much, especially if we get freezing drizzle, to create problems on the roadway. If it's just light sleet, that might not be too much of an issue. If it were snow flurries, that wouldn't be an issue at all. But if we do get the light freezing drizzle, that becomes a problem, and that's when the roads become icy and become a mess. Now, if we go on throughout time, afternoon, that slug of moisture shifts eastward. If temperatures are cold enough, this area over here in northeast Texas could get some pretty heavy sleet and freezing rain amounts. In fact, that's where I think the heaviest of this situation will wind up being, is over into northeast Texas. Now, tomorrow night and early Tuesday, here comes wave number 2, and look at that. You got what looks like convection developing over us. And that would probably be in the form of some heavier sleet, maybe even some thunder mixed in with that there too. So that might present more of a problem on Tuesday morning, especially across north central, northeast Texas into south central Oklahoma. So if you do get underneath some of this heavier activity, heavier sleet could create problems. The roadways could become a mess then. And there also could be some issues. If we get freezing rain in that too, freezing rain would also create problems. But, you know, as of right now, it looks like a lot of that would be sleet. And then that kind of moves on. We see kind of a little reprieve throughout the day on Tuesday. There is a third wave coming in. And I'll show you that with the GFS ensembles. And the reason I'm showing you the ensembles is because the regular operational model run is just not handling things very well. And you can see a bunch of different ones, and we'll kind of go through tomorrow. We're not too worried about that. Let's go into Wednesday. All right, so if you look early Wednesday morning, most of these little windows here have ice over us, and that would be mostly probably freezing rain and sleet. To me, if we're going to get a more significant icing event, this is when it would come, is on Wednesday morning. And there my computer is making that buzzing noise. So if you hear buzzing, that's what it's from. Hopefully this microphone isn't picking that up, but it might be. I did some noise cancellation filters on it, so hopefully that's not an issue, but it could be an issue. So if you hear that little fan buzz in the background, that is from my computer. Like I say, it needs to go get a new fan put in, I guess, from PC Pros, I guess. Those guys are great, by the way. All right, so this, to me, this would be a more significant winter weather event on Wednesday. The Europeans been kind of showing this, and a lot of these, this to me makes sense. The Canadian model was showing this. So I think if we're going to get a more significant ice storm, it would be Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. I believe the stuff between now and Tuesday morning will mostly be light, but when you got temperatures in the 20s, it doesn't take much to create problems. So that's what I'm thinking, is mostly just light stuff between now and Tuesday morning. So that would present some mostly problems. If we get freezing drizzle, that presents problems. If we don't have freezing drizzle, then I'm not light sleet wouldn't create too many issues, but freezing drizzle would. So just be careful in the morning if you're going to be out and about. As of right now, I don't know. It just depends on, like I say, if we get freezing drizzle versus freezing rain. It just depends on what we get. Sorry, folks. I'm sorry. I forgot to add my audio input there to that particular scene. So I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Everybody, I'm back. I'm back. So that was not my equipment fault there. That was my fault there. I forgot to add something in. Like I said, I've had to go through and I've had to do some editing on some of these programs here. So I forgot, you got to add it into each scene. So I forgot to add my audio source into those. So sound is back. You can come back now. Sorry about that. So again, that's what we're looking at. Let's look and see if the afternoon, that is from the 18Z GFS, and it does have pretty significant ice over us on Wednesday morning. So ice storm is possible on Wednesday morning. The type of stuff we see Monday and Tuesday, more of kind of an advisory type of thing, I think, could be some heavier precip in some areas, but it looks mostly like an advisory type stuff. We will look at the European too. We don't have the ensembles on the on the European to look at, but we'll look at and see what it shows precipitation wise. It isn't going to show the type here with this particular source. Excuse me, I'd have to go to Pivotal for that, and I don't want to change sources. So there we are in the morning with some light stuff around, light freezing drizzle or sleet, and then there we are again on Tuesday morning, maybe a little heavier Tuesday morning. That could present a little more of a problem, but this would be Wednesday. That's your bigger event coming in on Wednesday, perhaps. And of course, the latest European, not quite as heavy with that activity as it was. Surprisingly, the GFS is heavier than that. So overall, right now, it doesn't look too bad to me. More of a travel issue. There will probably be some school cancelizations and work delays and cancelizations and whatnot. But I just don't see this as of right now being at least the early stuff being a huge situation where we're dealing with power outages. But that is a possibility if we do wind up getting heavier precipitation on Wednesday. So that would be in the morning on Wednesday. And again, don't lose faith. I think I have my issues fixed now. This was that issue was on me. That was not on my equipment. I think my issues are fixed. And I'll get my issues with my computer here fixed too, with the buzzing noise you hear. So there you kind of are on Wednesday. You can see the NAM model really bringing that heavier freezing precip. That'd be actually Wednesday night and early Thursday. That'd be heavy freezing rain over us. So the NAM model is a little bit later than the other models are with the precip. So again, to me, the most significant winter weather event we potentially could have would perhaps come on Wednesday. That's when it looks like it would be here to me. So, but we'll see what happens between now and then. All right, well, let me take the time now to answer some questions. Again, I do have my issues fixed here, so I don't think we're going to have issues with that anymore. Because I bought an actually standalone mic now. So I have an audio source. You actually probably should be getting good audio from it. All right, so let's see what we have question-wise here this afternoon. And I know you've probably been watching some football today, and I have been too. That game actually wound up not being as interesting as I thought it would. I thought San Francisco had a lot of issues. I think they finally rented the quarterback situation for San Francisco finally caught up to them today. You can't throw the ball, you can't win the game. You can't win in this league. So, and Philadelphia was able to do that. So, and I still think that Joe Burrow remains undefeated against Patrick Mahomes this afternoon. I think they win that too. All right, so now the audio issues seem to be fixed. Let's take a minute to see if we can answer a few questions here. All right, so, and again, I switched sources is why that went out. All right, so let's see if we have any questions. And now is your time to ask them, and I will try to do the best job I can. I can see them over here on the left-hand side of me. And remember, you probably see that little thing that's down in the bottom. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube page and to follow and like my Facebook page here. I'm trying to increase and trying to do more. I haven't done nearly what I wanted to do yet. I have a pet detective down in Jacksboro I want to talk to. We just had weather going. I've been so busy. I've got so much going on. My wife told me the other day, I don't ever see you. Oh, you're right. I know I've been swamped. We've had winter weather events. I'm having to produce a severe weather show we're doing in early March. I've had meetings, just had a lot going on. And it's just me and Garrett there at the station. Austin Bowling, which is a great meteorologist, has been helping us out on the weekends. I wish we could get him full time, but he doesn't have an interest in doing weather, at least for right now, full time. But he does do a good job for us on the weekends. So, but subscribe to my YouTube page. I'm gonna and follow me and like my Facebook page. Again, I'm down on Meta right now, so. But I want to get into Twitch. I don't know much about Twitch. Twitch is a gamer's platform, but it is a streamer's platform, and I may try to get in on that too. All right, so I have one of our viewers say, what time on Wednesday? And basically, from what I'm seeing right now, it would be starting Wednesday morning, and it could last for most of the day on Wednesday. But we'll see. Some of the data, the European and the NAM model were slower, so we'll see if those trends continue. Right now, I'm just going morning, afternoon, all day Wednesday looks pretty bad. I have a very sick kitty at the vet Wednesday afternoon. Am I going to be able to get her there? If you can get her there tomorrow, that might be your better bet, or if you can wait until Thursday or Friday. If she's very sick, she probably needs to get there. My buddy Ross Thompson over at Simmons in Harlan, he'd be probably more than glad to take a look at it. Of course, I don't, you have to use whoever you're using, but I just know that Ross is a good friend of mine. So could be some cancelizations of school and work, perhaps. Somebody wants to know, we have to be in Fort Worth Children's Hospital at 10:15 on Wednesday morning. Should we go Tuesday night and stay the night? I would. Yes. Just to be on the safe side. I would, Ashley. On that map, the purple would be freezing rain. Kind of a reddish or a pinkish reddish color would be sleet. So that map, purple, is freezing rain. And somebody wants to know about advisory versus watch, and I'm gonna go back to that here. If you look, so this is the Weather Service page. Of course, the Weather Service is our partner. They're not our competition. The Weather Service guys work for the government. The TV side of things is completely different. I do work with the Weather Service on. I don't work with them on their forecast. They do their own forecasting. But when it comes to like watches and warnings, they issue those. I do not. Now I'll tell you what I think. I'm not afraid to tell you what I think. You know me. But I do understand that. So if you look here on this map, so this color here, this different off color blue would be a winter storm watch, and that kind of a purplish color blue or more true blue would be the winter weather advisory. There's a certain criteria that they go by when they're issuing these advisories versus a watch and a warning. A watch means that it's possible within this time period. A warning means that it's imminent. It's definitely going to happen. A watch would be slightly more significant in this situation. Ice would be like up to like a quarter of an inch of perhaps freezing rain accumulation. Maybe a half inch of ice is what they're calling for. An advisory would be more of the light stuff, like a tenth of an inch or something like that, just enough to create some problems, mostly on the roadways. I think most of what we're looking at least tomorrow, will be advisory type stuff. The watch warning stuff might be a little more prudent for Tuesday and Wednesday. And we may even see this advisory changed over to a watch or warning at some point as data starts getting a little bit more zoned in on it. When it comes to these types of weather situations, it's very difficult to forecast any winter weather event. Any winter weather event is very difficult to forecast. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and it's because if I'm forecasting an inch of rain and we wind up getting a half inch of rain, you don't notice that miss much, okay? You say, oh, we did get a lot of rain outside, and you don't notice the exact amounts. But if I forecast 5 inches of snow and we only get 2 or even 1, then you notice that a little bit more. So, it's more difficult to forecast these types of things. They're never clear cut in this part of the country. They may be a little more clear cut up in like Green Bay, Wisconsin or somewhere like that, or up in Denver, Colorado, but they're never as clear cut here. And when you're dealing with freezing rain and that kind of stuff, you're dealing with a situation where And it really is cool because you get to see science work. You're dealing with what's called latent heat processes in the atmosphere. When you're dealing with snow can actually help cool the atmosphere off. But when you're dealing with freezing rain, it can actually warm the atmosphere up. Now, sleet can help cool it some, but freezing rain has a tendency to warm you up because you're bringing in warm air from above the Earth's surface. The water droplets are coming down and they're warm. They're warmer than the surrounding environment. So what they're having to do is they're having to freeze. So they're absorbing the cold air on the outside while at the same time expelling the warm air from on the inside. It's called the latent heat processes. So the more of that warm water you throw into the environment, the warmer the temperatures start going up. So if we got in a situation and you don't have a solid way, like a real solid way, or a really cold air mass to keep in place, if it's just marginal, you'll see it maybe start off as freezing rain, and then as you get heavier bursts come through, all of a sudden the temperatures go up. I've seen it happen here. I've seen it happen before. So in this type of situation, probably by Wednesday it may not be quite as cold, so you'd probably want a situation to get more freezing rain to be more of a light to moderate type of event rather than heavy. As of right now, I am definitely not ready to make a forecast on how much we're going to see. If I were at the station, I would, but I don't. It's just easier just to talk about weather here rather than to dial into my system and update it. So, but if I just say right now, I'd say very light amounts between now and Tuesday, maybe quarter of an inch or less of sleet, maybe. If any freezing rain at all, less than a tenth of an inch, which that's not going to present power outages. You get into power outages when you start seeing those icing accumulations go up to a quarter of an inch, especially if you can throw a little wind on top of it, which it don't look like a lot of wind over the next couple of days. So I don't know that we're going to see a lot of power outages, but we'll see what happens. I'm not predicting that as of right now, really. So. All right, so let's see. Tell those aliens that are causing this to take their weather back. I'm going to do it. I'm getting on the phone and calling them right away and saying, hey, look, beam me up and let's have a talk about this because I do not like it either. I don't. I'm ready for March. I'm counting down to March because March is when we start getting spring, and spring is my time of the year for a couple of reasons. Number one, I like it because it's warm, because I like to be outside. I like to do things outside. I like to work in the yard. I need to plant some grass this year. Got a lot of dirt around my house, and I need grass to grow, so I'm going to try to get some grass to grow this year. And I also like it when everything buds out. Everything's pretty. The smells are out there. April's my favorite month of the year. We start trying to forecast severe weather. Then it's easier to forecast severe weather than it is winter weather, that's for sure. And springtime is big bass time, so try to get out and do a little fishing then too. And my wife seems to come to life then too. She kind of hibernates when it's cold outside. I don't see her much, so gets a little warm. It tends to get her out of the house a little bit more. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for March to get here. I do not like this stuff here at all. Hate it. Sorry, not sorry. Let's see if there's any more questions here. Yeah, I did mention Bowie. Tavia, you're in it. You're Winter Storm Watch, and I do expect freezing rain and sleet over your way, especially sleet, especially Tuesday. Tuesday morning especially. Tomorrow night, Tuesday morning. Could be some around in the morning, but I think that the heavier stuff comes in on Tuesday, possibly Wednesday too, so we'll keep an eye on that. So Bowie, you're in it this time too. Yeah, it's going to affect the roads, especially the stuff that we would get tomorrow and on Tuesday. Robert, like I was saying, if we get freezing drizzle or moisture, then that will have a bigger impact than sleet would. I mean, sleet could too, but it's that freezing drizzle that really, really can create problems. Remember, the first thing that ices up are bridges and overpasses, then the secondary roads and sidewalks. I do expect the temperatures to be in the 20s tomorrow, so if you're getting freezing drizzle. And matter of fact, once we get those temperatures in the 20s with clouds around, there won't be much fluctuation in temperatures until we see either heavier precipitation come into the area, or we start getting the precipitation and clouds out of the area, but that doesn't happen until the end of the week. This week does not look like a great week weather-wise. So yes, it will cause icy roads. And yes, it will cause school closures. It will cause business closures. So prepare for that. It's going to happen. You might want to go to the grocery store and get a couple things. I don't think you're going to need. I don't think this is going to be a crippling event right now, but it could get a little bit heavier, especially if that activity comes in on Wednesday, and we're still seeing those temperatures well into the 20s. Of course, I'll update that again tomorrow and on Tuesday. But right now, I'm thinking that Wednesday could be the worst of it all if everything comes together. And tomorrow and Tuesday will just be kind of nuisance stuff. And I guess I got to say congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles, even though I don't like the Eagles, for winning the NFC Championship game. But I don't like the 49ers either. I don't like them at all. Matter of fact, I don't have a horse in the race. My team is the New Orleans Saints, and then secondary team would be the Cowboys. So if they're not in it, then I don't really even care. Don wants to know, when will the freezing rain start on Monday? Again, light stuff around. It should be around prior to sunrise and just after sunrise for a little while. Maybe a little sleet too, maybe even some snow flurries. And that would be enough to maybe get some issues on the road. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, the Eagles definitely are. The better team in football. The best team in football all year has been the Eagles. I mean, the record says that they have been. And, the best team from the NFC is going to the Super Bowl. Now, that's just a fact. If the 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo playing, they might have had a better chance. So, Robert wants to know, when are you expecting this to start? Light stuff tomorrow, again, Tuesday morning, and it moved 3 waves, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, and then Wednesday. 3 waves, with the heaviest perhaps coming in on Wednesday. When I was a kid, I'd have loved to have had access to social media. I would have loved to have had this. Been able to ask the weatherman or the meteorologist back then questions. I was a weather nut back then too. I loved the weather. Ironically, I interviewed some little girls from Jacksboro on Friday, and they were talking about how the weather scared them. They were in the tornado that hit there last March. And they were talking about how terrified they've become of weather since the tornado, because it was hitting as they were in school. Well, the same thing happened to me when I was in school. I was in the 5th grade, and a tornado hit at our school. It didn't do a lot of damage to the school. It tore up the parking shopping center a little across the way from the station or from the school. But I just remember how scared I was and all of that. So, so when I was a kid, that's kind of when I got interested. I was terrified of it early on, but the terror, I had storm anxiety, and that's the piece I'm doing for Storm Week is storm anxiety. I need to talk to a doctor. I cannot get up with the doctor. I tried AJ Madden. I can't get in touch with him. I tried Dr. Gorley. I tried Dr. Barnhart. So I got to keep on trying for that this week. So, So anyway, when I was a kid, I was scared of weather, but that fear turned into a passion. And when I first went to school and college, and I have other stories I can share with you on that, but when I first went to school, my background in math wasn't real strong from the high school. So when I first went to school, I was in college rather. I didn't go the meteorology route because even though I liked it, I didn't think I could do it math wise. But then I got into college and discovered I could do math. And I got a whole story about that too. I'll do it another time when the weather's quiet. But to make a long story short, I eventually changed my major from sports medicine, sports science, or whatever it was, to meteorology. Got my degree at Mississippi State. But I was I'd have loved to have had access to something like this when I was a kid, when you could ask the weatherman or the meteorologist questions like this and watch, the updates and showing all these pretty maps and whatnot. But of course, back then, when I lived in Jackson, growing up, was a guy named Woody Asaph. He was the Skip McBride of that market at the time, older man. He was just a weatherman. Of course, Skip was a meteorologist, but Woody was just a weatherman. All he did was just read off the forecast. But everybody loved him. Then I got along came the first meteorologist that I had ever seen, a real meteorologist, in David Hartman, and that became the guy that I idolized, and he's kind of responsible for getting me where I am today. But back then, the only time you got the weather forecast was when you first got up in the morning, or when you at 5 o'clock or at 6 o'clock or at 10 o'clock at night. But you could call. There was a phone line, and you could call about 4:30. You better believe I was making phone calls to listen to the forecast. I had a little NOAA weather radio, a little box back then. You could listen. I listened to it all the time, and I had that thing right by my bed when we had severe weather. Because in Mississippi we had tornadoes at night there. So I mean, anytime it thundered outside, I used to get scared of it. But I'd have loved to have had some access to this here, to be able to ask questions and be able to see all the stuff. Because, these days you don't have to wait for the 5 or 6 o'clock newscast anymore. Let's just face it. If you're waiting until the 5, 6, or 10 o'clock newscast to find out about something, you're probably not in the know, because everything these days is right at your fingertips. It's on your phone. Social media, apps, you get the news and the weather almost as it's happening. The only thing that you get different with the news is you get more in-depth information, because a lot of times we just kind of give you teasers, kind of tell you what we're looking at, what we might do. A lot of times we don't give you the full story. So that's why you have to still turn into the news at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. But, a lot of people don't anymore. And I run into it all the time. I don't watch the news. So, I feel like in many ways I can reach just as many people on Facebook and on YouTube as I can on TV sometimes. That's probably not the case now, but it was the case this time last year. It was definitely the case, but it's probably not the case. You guys know my issues with Meta. So, YouTube is a pretty good way, and I'm still doing stuff on Facebook too. So, Robert says, I'd love to go on a chase tornado, just have to get it off my bucket list. And I've done that some. I used to chase storms more, and I have stories on that too. I'll try to bring my storm chasing buddies, my old storm chasing buddies, on here one night and we'll tell some good old stories about some of the fun stuff we used to do. Storm chasing, to me back then, was more about the road trip with my buds, my boys. And any storms was just the icing on the cake. There have been many times we'd leave from Mississippi and come out here and Kansas and whatever, and not even see a storm, and we just had fun just hanging out. We'd go to Colorado and drive to the Rockies. We just had fun. But I have seen a couple tornadoes. I haven't seen a lot. I've seen several. These days, it's a lot easier than it was back then. Back then, you basically got your forecast in the morning and at night, and that was it. These days, you got it on your phone right at your fingertips. So it's a lot easier to chase storms now than it was back in the olden days when I used to do it. I still try to go once a year if I can. I don't think I went last year. I know I went the year before last, but there just really hadn't been a lot of things to chase lately. Last tornado I saw was El Reno. I did see that tornado. It was a big, huge tornado, but it wasn't a photogenic one. It wasn't a fun storm to chase. It was big and wrapped in rain. It just wasn't good. So I know you problem answer. I think you meant to say, Jennifer, I know you probably answered this. How do I think roads are going to look on Monday? I think it's iffy. There could be some slick spots around, especially if we get that freezing drizzle. If it's just sleet, then I think we'll be all right. I mean, just light sleet, just a little bit falling, we'll probably be okay, or snow flurries. But if we do get that freezing drizzle, that becomes a problem. Or if the sleet can come down a little bit harder, that can coat the roads too. With temperatures in the 20s, that could create a problem. So, yeah, I know I'm not good with number one. Believe it or not, I'm not a good speller. My wife will tell you, I am not a good speller. I'm good with numbers, but when it comes to spelling, spell check is my best friend. And you probably see on my page all the time how there's typos and whatnot. I'm just not a good speller. You'd think being in the TV business I would be, but I'm just not. So, well, I thank y'all for watching me here this afternoon. Sorry about the audio issues early on. Those are fixed, I think, now. So, I also have it to where I can take my camera around now with me, and as long as I'm on the same Wi-Fi, and go lots of different places. So, but this is still a work in progress. I've got a green screen upstairs. I'm going to get it set up pretty soon where I can do some green screen stuff too. I hadn't figured that part out yet. I'm going to get some more webcams. We'll have some cool looking stuff in the background. I got lights. As a matter of fact, I got lights there and there now. So, but I know I'm going to have some really cool stuff in the future. We're developing the Storm Chaser network still. I've got to get with my general manager, Richard, and figure out how we're going to do that. But we're working on it now. So hopefully we'll have something pretty soon. And I'm getting a couple people here. It says, thank you for all you do. And I love what I do, people. I mean, this isn't work. This is fun. My wife's a bit under the weather today, and she has been this weekend, so I really hadn't seen her a whole lot. So I've been kind of lonely. Kate came over for a little while this morning. Felicity came over for a little while yesterday and a little while today, but she went back to Lubbock, and Kate's over with a friend. So get a little lonely sometimes. So it helps to come do these things and be able to talk to you guys. I don't know what Kelly could have. I probably got strep throat, maybe just a bad cold. You know, we went to we don't go anywhere hardly ever, but we went to the chocolate soiree last Friday night. So you're shaking hands, and you just never know who's got what. Then we went to a memorial service for a guy in Henrietta on Saturday. And of course, it was all the food was lined out, kind of buffet style. It was kind of potluck. So you're handling stuff other people have been handling. So I'm sure she picked something up there. I'll probably get it at some point. I usually do. So I'm sure that's coming for me at some point in time. But yeah, I'm working on lots of cool things. If you ever watched that Ryan Hall, I'm trying to do some things like, of course, I don't have the following. That guy's got over 1 million followers. I don't have near about that many. And of course, he's making a lot of money doing it. He's probably the #1 streamer as far as weather goes. I'm not ever going to be on that level because I'm not going to sit there all night and all day and cover every weather event across every part of the country. But I'll follow some bigger weather events, and I'll definitely cover weather events in Texas and Oklahoma. But I'm going to do some setups like he has. It's going to be really nice. I don't know what room I'm going to do it here in the house yet. This is actually Taylor's room. I mean, she lives in Tennessee now, so. But I don't have anywhere to put that bed over there, so I'm going to leave this here. And I'm using Kate's gamer laptop. But yeah, I've got some really cool things I'm going to do. And if we have hi Sheila, if we, what was I going to say? I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, I want to cover some of this stuff like a streamer does gaming. They have some really cool setups. I'm using Streamlabs now, and this is a pretty cool platform. There's still some bugs. I've actually developed a little logo. You can see it there. KJ. My friends all call me KJ. So you guys call me KJ. You're my friends. Call me KJ. You don't have to call me Ken. Say, hey, what's up, KJ? You see me out? KJ, what's going on? Yeah, Sheila, I've got a microphone. I bought one at Walmart today. Little $25 microphone. USB microphone. So, yeah, I hope she feels better soon. Rebecca Kelly gets this stuff usually a couple times a year, and when she gets it, it knocks her down for a little bit. So hopefully she'll recover pretty soon. So it's mostly just me and the dogs. And boy, they brought a lot of dirt in the house yesterday. In our backyard, it's just mostly just dirt back there because I need to grow grass, like I was saying earlier. So when it rains, and it snowed and rained earlier in the week, of course, all that turns to mud. And without a strong sun angle this time of the year, it doesn't dry very fast. So the yard outside the dirt is still kind of moist and kind of soft still. So when they go outside, and if you know anything about golden retrievers, they have when they get that dirt on their fur, it's the way their fur is. It dries and then falls off of them, so it falls off on the floor. And I've got 5 golden retrievers. Lucky, of course, you've seen him the most. Lucky's just the most temperamental. I've actually got 3 real temperamental dogs, but 2 that I consider real temperamental. There's Lucky. You've met Lucky my weather dog. And then there's Miley. Those are 2 temperamental dogs. Great dogs. Then I have Jazzy. Jazzy, she needs a job. She's super smart, and I want to get into training her to do some scent training. How awesome would it be if there were some missing kids or something around, and Jazzy could go and help find them? I would love to do that, and she's the perfect dog for it. So I need to, but I don't have any experience, and I don't have a lot of time to really be able to train her the way she needs to be trained. So, but yeah, you guys call me KJ. That's what I want. Just what you guys. That's what my friends call me. They call me KJ. My best friends call me Kenny J. My real name is Kennon, Kennon. That's my real name. I was named after my grandfather, but everybody's always called me Ken. But my best friends call me Kenny J. But a lot of people call me KJ. So, yeah, you guys just call me KJ or whatever you want to call me. I'll answer to anything, well, most anything, as long as it's not ugly or anything. So, but hopefully she does feel better soon. I wish there was something else I could show you weather-wise, but there really isn't. You know, we're not looking at. I'm not in the process of really forecasting significant ice accumulations yet. I'll probably do that tomorrow or Tuesday even. Well, you know, I love being here too. You know, Rebecca, I'm not originally from here. I'm from Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. I was born and raised there. I actually was. I'm actually from, I could say Jackson, but there's actually a place there called Raymond, Clinton, Byram. That's kind of the area that I was here. My wife just reminded me, do I need to turn the water off upstairs? You know, that's a pretty good idea. This might be pipe bursting weather. I haven't even thought about that. Yeah, make sure to leave your pipes dripping the night just in case. I'm going to turn the water off upstairs after this. So, but yeah, I'm from an area. I went to school in Byram, Mississippi, which is a suburb just south of Jackson. It's really blown up now. My high school is no longer there. It's a Walmart now. They bulldozed it and turned it into a Walmart. But my house is where my parents live is in a place called Raymond, which is near Clinton, Mississippi. If you're ever driving along 20, you drive right through it before you get into Jackson. Pretty good area. You know, Jackson's gone way downhill. Way downhill. The crime rate's gotten really bad. You know, I've got the guy that I worked at WAPT there for the first half of my career under a guy named David Hartman, he's a fantastic meteorologist. He doesn't have the notoriety James Spann has, but he should. He's really, really good. And he's actually getting ready to retire, and he actually wants me to come take his spot. And that would be, you know, a couple years down the road still. You know, I'm not shutting any doors, but I just don't know if that's what I want to do. So I do like it here. I do love it here. This has been home for a while. My kids are here. My wife is here. Everybody's here. So, you know, I'm not going anywhere, at least right now. So we'll see what happens on down the road. My contract would be up in June. Not this June, but the next. So we'll just see what happens. I have grown to love this. I love Texas. All right, let's just say I just love Texas. Oklahoma, I love you too, but I really love Texas. All right, people here are like me. The personalities are great. The economy is great. You know, there's a lot of diversity, and I love that because I'm a diverse guy. You know, it's just a good state. You got Dallas and Fort Worth. I like Fort Worth better than Dallas, though. You've got Austin, which I know Austin is a little busy down that way, but boy, I love the hill country. PK, love it. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Houston. It's just too hot down there for me, and a lot of crime down that way too. You know, San Antonio's okay too. I like San Antonio, but I really, really love the Austin area. Really do. I love the area. I can see myself retiring, not in Austin, but kind of down towards Fredericksburg, kind of down that way. Just a beautiful area. I love it. So, but anyway, like I was saying, when we came, I spent the, I'm not planning on leaving. I just, like I say, I'm just not, I'm not shutting any doors, because you just don't do that. But right now, that's not the plan. So, because you just never know what's going to happen, right? My parents getting older, they still live over there. You know, they should have moved out here with us a long time ago. You know, my dad is 81, mom is in her 70s, and, you know, they're getting older, and they either need to be up with my sister who lives in Northwest Arkansas, or they need to be out here with us. But instead, they choose to stay there in the house I grew up in. Well, that's a nice house, a great place. They got land, nice big. We had horses growing up. We don't have horses anymore. We had horses growing up. But anyway, whenever I came here to Texas, I came here to Texoma in 2008. The viewership has dropped off quite a bit. And I understand. I'm just rambling on now. I need to go watch that other game is what I need to do. But and I will do a recap, Amanda, in just a minute on the weather. Okay, so just give me a minute. Just stay with me. When I got here in 2008, I was only supposed to be here for a little while. When I got to KAUZ, and I'll be honest about it, and it was a mess. It really was a mess. It was awful. At that point in time, management that had the station had let it really, really run down a lot. The weather office had papers in it from 2 or 3 chiefs ago. I mean, there were stacks of papers in there. The guy that was chief before I was chief was John Cameron, believe it or not. And I believe that John got let go for the wrong reasons, honestly. It was a sponsorship that was, from what I've been told anyway, there was a sponsorship they were wanting, at that time, they were wanting him to say every time that he got on air, and he didn't really want to do it, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know what the whole story was on that. So, and I really don't need to be talking about that, honestly. But John was very good at what he did, and but anyway, he got let go by that management. So I came in, I took over, and like I say, things were a mess because he had been gone for a while, and there was a couple guys there, and they didn't know what they were doing really. So it was a mess. Graphics were a mess. The weather office was a mess. Nobody watched our station at that time. We had like a couple photogs and a couple of reporters. The air condition quit working a couple summers there, and the general manager at that time said, deal with it. And it was hot. It was hot in the studio. He said, deal with it. So I wound up staying. We got sold, different ownership, and as we got sold to another company, it got a little bit better. Then as another company came in by the name of Raycom and bought us. And when that happened, the current management that's in place, or our general manager, Richard Addix, came in. And he really, really cared. He's from this area. He really cared about the community. He really cared about the station. So he got us a lot of resources from Raycom. Then they sold us to Gray. And that's when we kind of became... I guess a duopoly when we kind of joined up with KSWO. We're supposed to be the largest weather team in the country in this area. 7 meteorologists. I think we're down to 3 of us now, maybe. But Richard cared a lot about the station. He put a lot of he's putting a lot of money in it. Gray, the Gray company's put a lot of money in it. We've had the parking lot redone. They're renovating our building, which is a really old building, and boy, did it need it. So they're doing a lot of things. The studio we have is from the early 2000s, and I think there's going to be a new studio at some point. I don't think it's right away, but it's going to happen at some point. But Richard's done a real good job. He's done a good job of getting the equipment that we needed. He's done a good job of making some good hires. We've had some really good people as of late. Really, really good people coming through. When you're in a small market, you're kind of one of those stepping stone type of markets. And people come through, they get their 2-3 years experience, and then they move on. I've seen a lot of weather people come and go. A lot. And I've been fortunate and been blessed to work with some really, really good weather people, meteorologists. But, I think the very best, and it's hard to say because, Ben Walnick, he was there a long time ago. He was really good. I don't even remember some of those guys' names. My brain just... But anyway, I've really worked with some really good. James Parrish was really good. Carly Smith was good. Zach Holder was really good. That's just to name a few. And working with John was always good too. So, we've had a lot come and go. Garrett has been great. Garrett has been my right. Garrett's not only, my morning meteorologist, but he's also a good friend. And he's really good at what he does. But unfortunately, Garrett is leaving us. He's leaving us this summer. He's getting married to a girl that's from the Metroplex, and she's going to be a oh, I forget. It's one of these people that deal with hearing. She's going to be some type of an audiologist maybe. She's going to make a lot of money though, but she has an externship coming up, and she's doing it in Utah. So with them doing it in Utah, he's going to move with her over to Utah to be with her. I would like to be able to keep on. These days we can do remote weather, and since it's only just me and him right now in Austin, helping out, I would really like to be able to. I wish we could be able to retain him some way in a remote type of situation, but I don't know that could ever be the case. I don't make those decisions. That's above me. But I'm going to miss Garrett. Garrett has been my boy. He's been great. Good meteorologist and very good, just doesn't complain. He does what you told him. He does what you tell him to do, and he contributes. And I'm just going to miss him a lot. And if you're wondering why we don't have a full team. Yes, she is an audiologist. She's going to make she's going to make good money. But, Garrett's he's good at what he does too. And I don't want him to give up his career in meteorology by no means. He could have a long, successful career in this if he wants it. He could. I often told him if I were to retire, or if I were to move on and go somewhere else, I'd want him to take my spot. Yeah, she's a very nice person. So I'm happy for Garrett, sad for me. So, but anyway, I just want him to make sure he does the right thing for him though, and the right thing for his career too, because he's too good to not do this. Some people come into it and they just don't have what it takes. Okay, TV is hard. It's a hard business to be in. Really hard. The hours suck. When you first get started in it, the pay is not very good. You miss a lot of birthdays, you miss a lot of holidays early on. I can't tell you how many holidays I had to miss early on in my career, how many vacations I missed, how many, turnaround shifts I had to work, where I'd be working late at night, turn around, do the morning shift the next day. That wasn't here. I'm just saying I've done that in my career. So it's hard to do that. And the news business, the TV business can be real stressful too. It can be a real stressful environment. And it really isn't that stressful at our station though, honestly. It really isn't. We got our news director. She's super, super sweet. And I'm not just saying that because she's, my boss, but she's a terrific lady. She really is. My wife loves her. I love her. She's a good news director. She's just a good person. And then we have Samantha Forrester, who's our assistant news director, and she is on task. She's good. She's real organized. So we have good people there at the station, good management there at the station, and we got good things at the station working. And I'm blessed to have been a part of all of this. I'm blessed to have started from the bottom of it all when it was awful. And I could tell you stories, and I will tell you stories. And I watched the worst of the times. Now I watch some of the better of the times. But of course, like you see lots of people coming and going. And you'll continue because it's a stepping stone market. And it was supposed to be a stepping stone market for me too. I'll be here 3 years and then I'll leave. But when you have kids and they're young like that, they start developing friendships and they start growing roots. They get established. I went through a divorce in 2000 and was it 13 or 14? It's 2013, I think 10 years ago. And the kids stayed here. Of course, I'm not going to leave my kids. So I've had opportunities. I've had offers. I had a really good offer in Orlando, Florida. I interviewed for a job at the NBC station in Dallas. I was a finalist, but I did not get that one. I've had offers in Austin and in Tulsa. Shreveport. I was really close to accepting a chief gig there in Shreveport that paid very well. Probably about 10 years or so ago, right prior to my divorce. But I just there was too much instability in my life at that point in time, too much instability with the kids, and I just couldn't do it. So I stayed. And like I say, I'm glad I did because I met my wife, Kelly. I got 2 great stepkids with her. I got a whole bunch of dogs. The kids are moving on. They're growing up now and they're doing their own thing. Hayes is in Kansas. Halisti's in Lubbock. Cape's still at Ryder, big football player. I need to get him in front of some D1 coaches. Cape is a D1 athlete, by D1 Division I college football. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's good. He needs to go to a big college somewhere. So you know what? I've spent a lot of time here. I've developed a lot of relationships. I got some great friends. One of my best friends is Dr. Keith Lamb. He's the interim president at Midwestern State University. He's one of my very best friends. When you get married, a lot of times you wind up being friends with your wife's friends. And she had a guy that she's good friends with, Mark Austin, and he's become a real good friend too. Eric Fox, he's in Oklahoma City now, but he's become a great friend, one of my best friends too. So yeah, I've made a lot of good friendships, and I feel like I am friends with you guys. Yeah, Dr. Lamb is awesome. See, the thing about Keith, Dr. Lamb, you're talking about the Midwestern State University president. He's an interim president. I hope they make him full-time president. He deserves it. There's nobody that will run that shop as good as him. Like my hat here. He knows it well, and he knows Wichita Falls well, and he's great at what he does. Thing about Keith is you see him and you think he's this guy who's going to be real uptight, this real proper, and he is when he needs to be. But really and truly, he's just one of the guys. He's fun to go drink a beer with. He's just as laid back as he can. He's real funny. First time my wife met Keith, he had just gotten off of a long trip from China, and she thought he was kind of blah. And then we saw him a little bit later on at a New Year's Eve party, and he was himself. He wasn't tired. She's, who is that guy? He's so much fun. He is a lot of fun. He's one of my best friends. We started this about an hour ago talking about weather, and I've just rambled on for the last hour. Sorry I'm rambling on, guys. Remember, my wife's sick. And it's just me and the dogs. I need to go watch football. Something to go do. Go watch that game. But honestly, and I'll watch it. And yeah, he is. He's very knowledgeable and very passionate about MSU, Sheila. I know that for sure. To be honest, though, about football games, I'll watch them because it's football. But I don't. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. If I'll catch it. I really don't care who wins. Honestly, I really don't. I'll watch. I'm about to go watch the game too. But I'll watch the Super Bowl. But again, I'm not. My teams are not in it, so I'm not just that enthusiastic. So I'll go watch the game here. I am going to let you go. Just to recap quickly before we go, we are looking at a little winter weather event heading on in. This is from the HRRR model tomorrow morning. You can see that little light pink there. That would represent light sleet, a little period of some light sleet or freezing drizzle. If that happens, the roads will become a mess. Then as we head towards tomorrow night again, you see that light freezing drizzle or sleet develop again. And that could be a little bit heavier into Tuesday morning. Looks like a lot of light freezing drizzle there. And then another wave comes in on Wednesday. This would be an accumulation of ice from the HRRR computer model. And it actually has the Metroplex getting hit pretty good with some pretty significant ice down that way. Maybe just northwest of Austin, speaking of the hill country. Kind of towards Stephenville, those areas, Cleburne. Could get some pretty good ice out of that if this is correct here. So I'm thinking the worst the ice storm could be maybe somewhere down in this area here. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah. So I'm thinking that, and these are not, whenever you're looking at these numbers, these computer models throw out, most of the time they're not very accurate. So you can't just They're usually too heavy, so you can't just go with that. But you can see how most of the ice through Tuesday is pretty light up our way, but that's enough to create some issues on the roads. But a little bit heavier across maybe Montague, Wise, Jack County, and then definitely heavier towards like the Metroplex. If you're going to get power outages, it would take, over a quarter-inch ice. So there could be some maybe in north central and northeast Texas. And also, this is also showing perhaps some significant ice down towards maybe Waco, maybe towards the Hill Country, Lake Travis, near or just northwest of Austin, Stephenville, Cleburne, those areas down that way. Could get some pretty good ice. Of course, that's a lot more trees there, so that could present some problems. So that's the update on that and the stories I've been telling here this afternoon, and I'll be looking for more of those in the future. I'm going to, when I get my studio set up at home, I'm going to be doing some podcast stuff, and I'm going to continue to have guests and stuff on too. And we'll have some pretty cool stories and pretty fun things to do on here from time to time. Remember, subscribe to my YouTube page, follow my Facebook page. And I'm going to expand on these social media sites in the near future. Hopefully we'll do some Twitch, which I don't know much about that one. I'll probably try to add Twitter to it. And we'll do some different things. So, all right, thanks. Remember, call me KJ. That's what you got. You see the little icon down there? KJ. So I will see you guys. I'll probably have an update later on tonight, and we'll certainly have an update tomorrow morning and throughout the day tomorrow on what's going on with this. But just remember, just be careful if you have to be traveling. Try to stay off those roads tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday if you can. Be prepared for some possible delays and cancellations on school and work. I don't have any of those official now, but it could come, especially if there's freezing drizzle around in the morning. And school officials, if you're going to delay, just cancel. It's not going to get better. If you wake up tomorrow morning and there's ice outside, don't just delay by 2 hours. Don't do that, because the temperatures are going to stay in the 20s throughout the day. The ice is not going to melt. It's not going to improve. So just cancel it for the day. I'm probably going to cancel Tuesday too, and probably Wednesday. Hopefully we don't deal with power outages. Right early on we don't. Maybe the Metroplex. But Wednesday could be a day we might deal with some of that. So we'll keep an eye on it. Glad you all enjoyed. I have a lot of stories I can tell. I tell my kids a lot of them. Some of them I probably can't tell right here on this. But I'll try to be as personable as I can with you, and try to tell as many as I can. I can't tell you every one of them, but I'll tell you as many as I can, and I'll try to be as personable as I can. So, all right, guys, I'm going to jump off here after the hour long. I'm going to watch the AFC Championship game over on News Channel 6, and we'll have more